are all tight for everybody. It's so good to see everybody's face. I'll turn it over to Tony.
Thank you, Terry. We are very, very excited about today's program. You can all hear me okay? All right. It's interesting. I started working for the town of Pinetop Lakeside 3 years ago today, I believe. I left Phoenix, gosh, 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. I had the best job in the world down there, working for the Arizona Office of Tourism and working for Debbie. And I will vividly remember that day when I went in to tell her that I was leaving Phoenix and moving to Pinetop Lakeside. And it was a tough day for Debbie because I actually was the second staff member that day to turn in my notice. And I thought she was going to cry, and she made me cry too, but very, very honored to have her with us today. This presentation is sponsored by APS, Arizona Public Service. We're very excited for their support and appreciative. I do want to recognize the other members of the NACOG Tourism Committee. I think most of them are probably on here. Becky Christensen, Becky, are you on? Michelle Conway, I see you, Michelle.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Judy Franz. There's Judy. Lori Pappas. I don't know if Lori's on with us yet or not. Tracy Shimakowski. And Ann Stewart.
Good morning.
Hey, Ann. So we're very excited to have everyone here. I'm not going to take up a lot of time. I'm going to turn it over to Terry. I want to thank Terry and Julia for their support and work and expertise in helping to put this together. So I'm going to turn it over to Terry, and she's going to kind of walk through the logistics of how this is going to run today. Stick around to the end because we do have some door prizes to give away for those that stick it out through the very, very end. Terry, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. And first I want to thank Tony Elba as our chairman of the Tourism Committee. And then I want to just move directly into our program, especially with gratitude to Director Debbie Johnson. Debbie, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for always focusing a light on Northern Arizona and being there when we ask you for assistance. You are always there, and you always are responding with yourself or with your team members to the needs of Northern Arizona, as evidenced by today's presentation. So very grateful to you, and grateful to APS as our sponsor, and Janet Dean I know is on the call. Janet, thank you, and APS for always supporting tourism and economic development in Northern Arizona. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the regional director for the Northern Arizona Council of Governments Economic Development District. We understand that our economic development includes tourism, and our economic vitality would not be the same without our tourism industries and the related supply chains. So we thank all of you for all that you do, and we hope that this presentation will be very beneficial. Tony noted that there will be some door prizes, that they will be at the end of the event. And we do have some great prizes from our sponsor, the City of Prescott, with a gift basket with several gift cards for our favorite places in the Prescott area. Thank you, Ann Stewart. And then from Pinetop Lakeside, a 2-night stay with a $50 restaurant voucher as well. So those are some great prizes and incentive for us all to stay and be a part of the drawing. Everybody's name was added into the drawing based on your registration for this event. And we're happy that NACOG was able to sponsor the event at no fee to all of you today. So without further ado, Director Debbie Johnson, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much, Terry and Tony. Thank you. I love being with Northern Arizona. You guys know that's a lot of where my heart is. My daughter went to school in Flagstaff. It's one of my favorite places. And I'm happy to say it's sweater weather here in Phoenix. So you'll notice I have a sweater on instead of like a, little more professional, but you got to take advantage of sweater weather here in Phoenix when we get it, because we don't get it very often. Just a quick note to Tony's story. So you know how there are those people who come in your office and it's like the last person you either want or think will leave. And that was Tony that day. And I just have to tell you a funny story. When I first started with AOT, Tony was one of those people that asked me some hard questions. And I was so grateful because, everybody's always a little timid and they don't want to ask me anything. And Tony has some not only great questions, but some hard questions and important questions for the team to know why I was there, what, why I made decisions that I made. And it was so good. And I was always so grateful to him. And that day when he came in my office, I literally teared up, and I rarely do that with that, but it was a rough day, but obviously he's doing great. And I'm so glad to have him back in tourism again, representing Northern Arizona. So with that, I'm going to kick it off. I will tell you guys, I'm not going to go probably 15, 20 minutes in terms of speaking, giving you information, and then we're just going to open it up to questions, because I always find that that's what you guys want, is to ask questions. So ask me the hard questions like Tony did. I hope you will. I will answer everything I can and get back to you on those that we can't. Sound good? And it's so great to see all these faces this morning. So Kiva's going to share her screen. Oh, snow here in Flagstaff. I'm so jealous. Although we are supposed to have rain here, so that's fantastic. I see Kristen just said snow in Flagstaff. I love it. So let's just get started. I really want to thank you for the opportunity today. My goal is to talk about what we do from an economic impact in the travel industry. You all know it, but we are critical to Arizona's economy. And I want to share also how the pandemic is impacting tourism from AOT standpoint and from the industry standpoint, and then how we're adjusting our programs to make it work and promote the state. So as I think most everybody knows, AOT is the official destination marketing organization for the state of Arizona. Our job is to expand the economy and bring in the visitors and really make awareness of all of our state's travel offerings. So all of what you guys do, it's our job to help you in making sure that we let people know what's everything there is to do in Arizona. So I think what's really important and what I love about tourism is people always kind of underestimate what we do. And we are one of the most effective revenue generators for our state. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but not just for the state as a whole, but for all of your communities. So 91 cities and towns, which always stuns me, and 22 tribes in our state. And most all of them can say that tourism plays a role in their community. And this is a fact that I love. We're one of the very few industries that can say that we positively impact all 15 counties in Arizona. So with that, let's start with 2019 economic data. Our economic data is based on annual kind of years, not fiscal years, but calendar years. This is the most recent we have. We're working on 2020 right now, as you can imagine. So I want to say what we're going to talk about with 2019, we know it doesn't exist anymore, but I think it's really important to talk about what we all are going to strive to achieve. And this gives us kind of a baseline of where we want to get back to, because we saw 4 record-setting years in a row. So let's talk about 2019. 46 million domestic and international overnight visitors. And I think that's really important. It was an increase, as we talked about. Spending. Look at that number in spending. People always think tourism is something that, doesn't make a huge impact. I don't know how anybody can argue with $25 billion in spending. 200,000 employees directly employed in our industry, and over 300,000 when you count those indirect numbers. And I think that's a really important thing too. People always want to count the indirect, but I think we need to count, the direct as well. It's huge numbers. So let's talk about the taxes. This is always my favorite number because it contributes to the things that we as residents get to take advantage of: education, healthcare, public safety, roadways, all of those things that are important to our livelihood that visitor revenue brings into. And my favorite number, $1 billion in tax revenue to our state's general fund from the tourism industry. That's almost 10% of the state's annual budget. And that's an incredible number and something we should all be very proud of and know that we're going to get back to. So, mentioned already, this is something that it reflects a time when traveling was, kind of easy and not challenged. So let's talk about how the global pandemic is going to impact us, not just this year, but in years to come. So this is a chart that's not quite as fun to talk about, but it's just every bit as important. Travel spending, just as of November, which is our most recent numbers, is down 53.7%. That's a huge number. Our tax revenue is down $52 million. And here's a number that really makes me sad, is that our employment is down 56%. So that's a huge number. And obviously that includes hotels, restaurants, attractions, all of those things that make up the tourism industry. Now you can see that we seem to have settled at this level. This could be some seasonal trends. So we're going to see where we go with, entering into somewhat of our high season in the February, March, April timeframe. So let's look at domestic visitation year to date. So this is really interesting. You can see where we were in 2019 compared to now. And we've got a modest increase in Q3, but nowhere near our normal numbers. 2010 was the last time that we were around 7.5 million. That goes back over 10 years. It's just hard to believe sometimes. Total visitation at this time was 22 million visitors. And in 2019, for 2020, we had 22 million. In 2019, we had 31 million for a total of 46. So while visitation has seen a slight increase recently, our spending unfortunately has stayed low. So that's a challenge that we're going to continue to see on the spending side until we make some movement. So let's talk international real quick. Obviously, as you know, we haven't seen a lot of international travel. Federal guidelines are really challenging that, and that's good. We want to continue to talk about safety and safety protocols. But let's talk about air passenger volume. So this is where we sit right now in air passenger volume, and you can see it's just barely, that red line is just barely above the lowest point it can be compared to where we were. But I think we've got a little bit of hope out there. So we do believe that there will be some select international flights start back this spring. And we're hoping that the Heathrow Phoenix direct flight will begin possibly in March. A lot of this is going to depend on the vaccine and kind of where we are. And then the Frankfurt to Phoenix flight is hopefully going to start in May. So we will keep you updated on that. We do recognize the importance of international visitors to Arizona, especially to Northern Arizona. So that's a really important market for us. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing right now, kind of those marketing efforts and where we can go. I want to let you know that all information is posted on our business website, which is tourism.az.gov. And if you've never been to that site, it's really important. It has our marketing plans. It has all of our research. It just is a great wealth of information for all of us in the industry. I use it all the time when I need to find something. So we won't have a complete picture of 2020 until June of 21, but we do know that obviously it won't look anything like it did in 2019. So now we're going to talk about how we're inspiring travel to Arizona in this current time frame. We knew that once the pandemic hit that we would have to change all of our programming, and we did it very quickly. We know that during the summer, we took a little pause in what we did because of the numbers. We're doing the same thing now. We haven't quite launched back fully, which we'll talk about in a second. But we have, and we did back then, start back with our social media, which was really critical to just bringing that inspiration to Arizona. And we have so much beauty to talk about that we're able to share those images. And the other thing that we've been able to do really, really well with your guys' help is share the information about kind of those visitor guidelines in each different community and what's going on and what people need to know, whether they're residents or whether they're visitors coming to Arizona, about how to be safe and how to keep all of our residents safe. So we've implemented several tactics. Obviously, as I mentioned, social, we've got public relations. We have continued to talk about trade and media relations as well, especially in our international markets, and obviously an advertising program. So let's kick this off. I think the first thing that we did, and I'm really proud of this, is that we went to our partners who were going to work on a brand new strategic plan for us. And we pivoted very quickly in March and said, stop, time out. We want to do a recovery plan. We know that that's what we as an agency and us as an industry are going to need. So that's what we did. So we prepared the Arizona Tourism Industry Recovery Plan to really help accelerate the recovery of travel and tourism through our state. And it's about a 12 to 18 month plan. So this plan really serves as our roadmap on a daily basis. It's all about stabilization, recovery, and rebuilding. And you can see here are 3 areas of focus that we're going to be looking at. So we know that it's going to take time, and it's really going to require a very different way of thinking than what we're all used to. So it's, I hate the term new normal, but I don't know what else to call it. But that's what it's going to be. It's going to be about a different way that we look at things. But I do want to make note that plan is also available at tourism.az.gov. So please go check it out. So the first thing we did was talk about Rediscover Arizona. And I love this campaign, and I love what it talks about in terms of getting outdoors, having social distance, being safe. We've tried to show several kind of different things to do. And it's, as you can see, some of the great things here, but it's Rediscover Stargazing is another one that I love. Rediscover Wide Open Spaces, Rediscover Staycations. This is primarily a digital program right now because we have the ability to turn it on and off with a moment's notice, depending on how consumer sentiment and public health is doing. And that has been critical for Arizonans. And I think we don't talk about that enough about what we do. It's also a campaign call to action. And we do have a rediscoveraz.com site where it talks about new ideas, activities, itineraries that people are looking for that get them outdoors and that do so safely and at a pace that's comfortable for wherever you're at. If you're comfortable doing a little bit more, talk about staycations. If you're comfortable being out in the middle of nowhere with no one else, then we can talk about Rediscover Stargazing and camping and some of those things at whatever pace people are comfortable with. So I think that's really important. This campaign is currently running in local and state markets. We've also got it in drive markets and some regional markets, and some new markets that I know some of our friends in Northern Arizona are happy about is Denver, because I know we've got some direct flights, or we did, and hopefully we'll continue to. Dallas and Salt Lake City are three of the new cities that we've really looked at this year with this campaign. So when consumer sentiment and public health tell us it's safe to do so, we will begin this as a full domestic campaign and expand into our target cities like Chicago, Seattle, and San Francisco. So that's really an important kind of metric that we're looking to base on once we kind of see those numbers, which hopefully some good news in the last couple of days. As you know, with international, we have not done much. It's really been limited from a direct advertising standpoint. We haven't done anything, but what we have done is we've worked to keep the awareness of Arizona on the minds by creating these new unique itineraries, doing a lot of virtual destination trainings, which have really been very well received. And we've also continued to work with journalists on those kind of Arizona travel stories. So let's talk for a minute about our rural and tribal marketing co-op. This was really important. When we knew our budget was going to see a decrease, we heard from a lot of you all and a lot of our rural and tribal partners, please don't cut this program. And we didn't. AOT continues to invest $1 million in matching funds to this program, and we know it's critical to you all. So I know a lot of you participate in this program. We appreciate that, but it's solely designed for what you all need and what we've heard from you that you need. So it's about making sure that we're helping to drive destination visitation to your specific community. What we do is we use resources that you all have along with our resources to combine to really create in-state, national, and international, depending on what you need. And there's a huge opportunity there with the number of different options you can choose from. One of the things that when I first started that we heard from a lot of our partners is we need to expand. We need to grow this program. We need to have more opportunities. And I think we've really done that. We always want to hear from you on what you think of this program, what you need from it. And if there's things that we're doing that you don't need, we need you to let us know. So we're really happy. You can see some samples here. And this year we had 32 participants in the program. So let's talk for a second about trade and media. Trade and media, as you can imagine, was really hard this year with the lockdown and with kind of some of the things that we weren't comfortable bringing people into our state, especially during the summertime. So I want to talk for a minute. You can see here a record number of sales appointments and trainings in fiscal year 19. And that's, always fantastic because it's such a great part of our program. But our team works with domestic and international tour operators and travel agents to give them this firsthand experience of Arizona. And while we always want to bring them into the state, we know that's not always possible. So we really created a great new program to educate them. It's really about building a kind of a global sales force, so to speak, on people who are experts on Arizona, who know what to do, who know the itineraries, who understand the state. So that virtual training program, we've been able to keep up this year, and I'm excited about that. And we've been able to keep people aware of Arizona. And that's really from an international standpoint, that's what we have to do right now is continue to build that awareness. So media relations in particular has been important. And we have been able to bring in a couple travel writers this year to do some very specific stories that relate to the pandemic, and obviously the photojournalists that come with them. In 2019, we hosted 44 journalists and generated 1,200 articles. And again, to be able to have a couple articles this year when we didn't expect anything was really important. And I can't wait to share some of those with you as we see them get published. And we all know this is something that we've had to educate the governor's office and other folks on. When we bring them in, we know that that article is generally not published the next week or the next month. It sometimes takes up to 12 months for that article to appear. So we'll make sure and share those with you when you see them. One of the other things we've done, and I know many of you are taking advantage and we're grateful, is we have a network of Arizona Visitor Information Centers. So they're located across the state. We currently have over 55 designated visitor centers, always looking to add more. You can see this great map Kiva has done here for us that shows where these visitor centers are. And I think this is really important because it's all about cross promotion. Not only are we sharing what you can do in our communities around the state, but we're letting people know, especially as people are out on road trips this year, what they can do in other areas of the state too. So it's been a great program. We've gotten some great feedback. We're going to be offering some special consumer and customer service training in the next couple of months. So please watch for that. If you have an AVIC in your community, we're excited to share that. Let's talk about one of our brand new campaigns. And I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite new things that we're doing. So we all know that meetings, incentives, conferences, events, all of that travel is critical to Arizona. And I will say not just Phoenix and Tucson, but we heard from many of our rural communities that's important to them as well. Prescott, Flagstaff, Sedona, other communities in Northern Arizona understand the importance of this. It's important from a hotel and lodging perspective, but from a restaurant perspective, that local F&B spend and people getting out and about in our community. And the other thing that's important is we know when people come here for conferences and conventions and meetings, they often travel to other parts of our state. So a huge part of business that we are happy to get involved in. This was part of our CARES funding that we were able to support the DMOs and launch the Arizona Means Business campaign, really letting people know and sharing images and stories of how you can come to Arizona and meet safely and keep not only your delegates who are attending safe, but keep the residents and the workers. That's really important. As you know, the workers at our hotels and restaurants are critical, and we want to make sure that everyone's staying safe. So as we launched this campaign late last year, we really kind of started to get some video and some images of people wearing masks, of tables distance apart. And it's just a great new program. So please check out our website for this information. Anything you need to use, please let us know. We're always looking for new images and B-roll. If you have anything that shows safe meetings, that show people wearing masks, both guests and employees, please let us know because we'd love to incorporate it into not just this program, but our regular program as well. I think we're going to need to do that for a little while. And again, it's all about showing that Arizona's doing it safely. So our DMOs across the state are really happy about this program, and we're excited to see what it means. You can see the Arizona Meetings website down at the bottom of the screen. One of our other new programs this year was a partnership that we did with the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. And sustainable tourism has become so important to us. This was a program that we had looked to partner in fiscal year 21 with Leave No Trace. And we moved it up when we saw so many people outdoors on a lot of your trails too, not necessarily taking care of Arizona the way they needed to. And so this is about promoting sustainable tourism practices across the state, taking care of all this beauty that we have. And something that Leave No Trace taught me that I didn't know, and I'm going to read this quote exactly because it was so important. People form lasting connections with nature when they understand how to protect it. And I have to tell you that honestly, I thought people were just being disrespectful and they were just, trashing their trash and not taking care of things. And sometimes what Leave No Trace taught me is they don't know, and we have to remind them. And so you can see these posters here, which are just incredibly beautiful, and we love them. And it's really ensuring that not only our visitors, but also our residents are equipped with the knowledge and information that they need to take care of Arizona. And I've talked many times to Heidi and Flagstaff and others that, when I-17 gets shut down because of a fire, whether it's off to the side of the road or whatever happens, that's impactful to tourism. So we want to make sure we're educating people, not just about wildfires, but we're also, this poster in particular, number 5, is going to have a lot of different variations to it. You know, don't throw your cigarettes out the window. Don't drag chains from your vehicle. Lots of things that really impact tourism that you wouldn't normally think about. So what we're really excited about is, in addition to AOT, we have some support from our other state organizations, and it's Arizona State Parks and Trails, Arizona Game and Fish, Arizona Department of Transportation, and Arizona State Lands. So all of us are going to be sharing this information over the course of the next year to generate awareness. We're also going to build a toolkit to work with all of you and the rest of our partners on how you can become engaged in that. And we hope to launch that toolkit in February. So we'll keep you posted, but you're going to start seeing these posters more and more. And we're really excited to have them out now. So please let us know if there's anything we can do. We'll be distributing them to the visitor centers as well. So now let's talk about health and safety. And I never thought that I would tell you that the #1 visited page on our website is our COVID page. For years and years, our calendar of events was by far our busiest, most visited page. And now, by far, it's our COVID safety page. So we have 2, and we're really about promoting the health standards. And one of the ones you see here is, this is for businesses. This is for you all on where to get this information. So we've worked with the governor's office and the Department of Health Services to really get these guidelines and have consistency too. So you can find all of this on our tourism.az.gov page. It's all the reopening guidelines for whatever business that you're in. We keep it updated. And again, we're working with the Department of Health Services on this on a regular basis. It also includes, we've had a lot of questions about event guidance. So as you know, there's private events and then there's public events, and there's 2 different sets of guidelines. So make sure you check that out. And as always, if you have any questions, please let us know. So let's talk about our strategic tourism planning tips. So we're really using our plan every day to talk about our state and our communities and what you can do. And we want visitors to travel safely. And we know that visitors are coming. I know in Sedona, they've had a record tourism year. Lake Havasu's seen the same thing. So we've had some communities who have really seen some incredible numbers and others who are struggling. But the most important thing right now for not just our visitors, but our residents is that we do it safely. So that's what we do. And we have all of the guidelines for visitors posted on our consumer page, visitarizona.com. I would love for each of you to take a look at that page. If there's something that's out of date, please let us know. The only way we can keep this page updated is with your help. And it's obviously the most important page that we have right now to make sure our visitors and even our residents who are getting out and about in the state know what to expect in the different communities and the different areas of tourism that they're visiting. So we have an open and closed kind of section on that page. So again, that's another page to look at. It's, as I mentioned, our most important page right now. It's the most visited page. And if you can just, another quick reminder, look at it real quick. Let us know, let Kiva know, let me know what we can do to update it. If you have any input of something that we're missing on there, we'd love to know. So with that, I just want to share a couple other resources that we have to you all. Calendar of events, I mentioned it earlier. It is still an important part of our page. We know it's going to come back as some of these events come back, but if you have something coming up, whether it's virtual, whether it's something that's small in person, whatever it's going to be, please let us know. We'd want to know about the calendar of events. We have a monthly consumer e-newsletter that goes out every month talking about different things going on in the state. So if you have some great news you want to share, please share it with Kiva so we can make sure it gets out to our consumers and is on the website as well. And then finally, our official state travel guide. We've published this year's guide, but we are already working on next year's guide, which will be published this fall. And we'd love to make sure we have, again, the most updated information from your community and what we can share. And if you're not signed up for Tourism Tuesday, I will tell you, we hear from people all the time about, oh, I had no idea. It's about a 10-minute read every day. To me, it's the most important thing you can look at once a week. And if there's ever urgent information, we have been known to do a Tourism Monday, a Tourism Friday. Anytime there's something really important that has happened with COVID from the governor's office, from DHS, we also do a tourism, whatever that day is, to make sure that you all are aware of that. And then of course, we've talked about, and I think see Josh is putting some great resources in the chat. So please make sure you use those as well. I use our industry website all the time, tourism.az.gov. Take a chance, look at it. If again, anything we're missing, anything you see that's inaccurate, please let us know. We try to keep these really updated, but it's not always easy with so many different communities. And with that, I'm happy to open it up and take questions. This is always my favorite part.
Terry, what do you suggest? Shall we have people enter their name in the chat function and we'll call on them so everybody doesn't jump all over each other?
Well, I'm getting unmuted myself, and I think if folks could either raise their hand or go into the chat, and we have 3 or 4 folks watching chat. I don't know, Tony, if you had any questions, or I can kick us off with questions.
Can I just say how excited I am as I'm looking in the chat to see snow everywhere? Page, Prescott, Pine Top Lakeside, Flagstaff. I love it. This is so exciting.
Just the wet stuff is nice.
I don't have a question, just a comment, Debbie, and I think this goes to your efforts to really promote in-state travel. When this whole thing started, we had to go back and really cut our budget. I think we cut our marketing budget. If I recall, it was like 23% because we just weren't sure what to expect. We've been very fortunate. Our hotel tax revenue and our bar and restaurant tax revenue, even though they've been hit very hard in certain areas, has held strong. In fact, our hotel bed tax revenue is up this year. I think people, when they found out that they had to quarantine and work from home, well, I can do that from any place in the state. So people started coming earlier, staying longer, staying later. And I think that obviously what Arizona Office of Tourism did to promote in-state travel may have had that impact on us. And I don't know if anybody else throughout the state, throughout the region had a similar experience, but we're just very fortunate that our tax revenue is held strong. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And I should have mentioned 2 quick things on our budget. And I'm going to take some notes here as we talk. But so our budget was hit in 2 areas, not from the general fund, so not from the governor's general fund for the current fiscal year we're in, but we have 2 other funding sources: Prop 202, which is only Maricopa County, Prop 302, I mean, and Prop 202, which is our tribal gaming funds. And both of those were impacted substantially, as you can imagine, with the casinos closed down for a lengthy period of time. And then so much of the business travel which impacts the Maricopa County. So the good news is the governor released his budget on Friday for fiscal year 22, and they are continuing to fund AOT at our last year's numbers. So we have not taken a cut. And for those of you in wine regions, they're also continuing that additional $100,000 in wine money. So we're really excited about that, to have that money continue. We don't know yet what the impact of the casino tribal gaming funds will be, but we're keeping a close eye on it. And certainly we were able to get some CARES money, which helped keep our communities and the rest of our funding moving forward. And real quick, one more thing before I forget, Governor's Conference on Tourism. So as you know, we did pivot last year and we did go to a virtual format. I am committing this year. I'm 99% sure I want to commit. I do want to commit. I just want to make sure we can do it. We're going to do a hybrid event. So for those of you who can come in person, it's going to be August 2nd through 4th. Now, we may take that down and it may be the 2nd, 3rd, 3rd and 4th. You know, there's a lot of things we have to look at, but we are going to offer both in person and online. So we're working through a lot of those details right now. We're seeing what other states are doing. South Dakota is hosting a virtual conference this week. So both Alina and myself are going to be kind of participating virtually and seeing how that works. So we'll be learning as we go. But I know there's a lot of people who have asked for in person. And yet there's still some who can't travel yet from community restrictions or health and safety. So we want to make sure we have something for everybody. So please mark your calendars and we'll keep you posted, but just know that we are going to do a governor's conference and it will be some type of hybrid event. Okay, let's look at questions here. I'm seeing a couple come through. Is there a brochure version? Yes. Oh, Kiva's going to be so happy you asked this question because she's worked hard on this. It's a trifold brochure. It has the same imagery that the posters have. We just approved the final version on, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week. So we should be getting it printed within the next week or two, and we'll get it out to everybody. Kiva kind of oversees our Leave No Trace Appreciate AZ program. So she'll send out to the communities and say, how many would you guys like? And we'll be sharing those with you all. And we can also have you post it on your website as well. So it's a great trifold brochure. It's really very pretty. So I see that's also Julie's question. So Jenny with Big Orange Jeep Tours. I love Big Orange Jeep Tours. How I could get the 7, yes. So the posters, and Kiva, I know you're on here. I don't know if you can unmute yourself and tell people how we can get the posters to them.
Yes, sorry, my video says Debbie Johnson, and I apologize. We have the posters will be ready by February to be able to order them. So we'll get that order form out soon for everybody. Look for it in Tourism Tuesday, definitely.
And I think, Kiva, on the same order form, can we do both the rack cards or the brochures and the posters?
Yes, we'll have it all, but we'll also have a social media toolkit for people so that they'll be able to help promote it that way and put some stuff in on their website as well.
Perfect. And we are right now working on revisions to the poster for number 5, which is the fire one. So it's not just about campfires, wildfires. We're doing a number of different things because of the issues around fire in Arizona. So, and we're also working with our partners in the other Western states to do some education of visitors that's consistent messaging. So we're all talking the same thing since we're all impacted by wildfires as well. So I'll keep you posted on that. Let's see, social media version. Oh, Kiva just answered that question, didn't she? That was fantastic. Yes, we heard that term about loved to death, and how sad is that? And like I said, I was frustrated at the time with people not taking care of things. And it was really enlightening for me to learn that they weren't doing it intentionally, that we really need to, it's always that good reminder that we need to do and remind people what they can do to help take care of our state. And again, it's our residents sometimes as much as our visitors. Let's see, Terry has a question.
Hi again, thank you for the presentation. Can you tell us about any policies? So most of the industry has been affected by policies and executive orders. Do you have any thought of what's to come or what's going to be either reduced or enhanced related to state policies and tourism?
I get this question a lot, and unfortunately, like you all, I usually find out at the press conference. But I do believe that Governor Ducey wants to keep the state open to the extent that we can and do it safely in terms of our businesses. I get asked this question a lot by different businesses in our industry. I am extremely grateful, and I just want to say it publicly because I don't get to say it often enough, to Dr. Kara Christ. Kara and I sat down on a Sunday afternoon and were on the phone and wrote the guidelines for public events. And I think that was a real game changer for a lot of different people, because it means you can have weddings, funerals, for heaven's sake. Some of these things that people couldn't do, you can do small corporate events as long as you follow the guidance. And Kara was willing, with the governor's office approval, to write that with us and support it. And give us a little bit of leeway in making sure that our industry can continue to do what we do and do it safely. So really, I just want to give her a huge shout out. She's been a great partner to tourism. We're also working, I know a lot of people have asked about sporting events and how that impacts. We are working with them on that. And Kara has we have a monthly call where we meet with all the professional sporting teams, big events like Barrett Jackson, things like that, the PGA event that's coming. So a lot of those things Kara's got her hands in and making sure that she is giving proper guidance and support for. And I think people are really grateful for that. So I don't anticipate anything new that I know of, Terry. We will certainly keep you posted, but I do get those calls and ask questions about our industry. And I really work hard to give them very factual information about the impact and what it would be. So it's a great question.
Yeah, thank you. I think on everybody's mind, something that we necessarily don't want to talk about, but
Yep, it's a hard one. And we, we want to support our industry, but we also want to keep everybody safe and healthy as well. And so we really are trying to run that balance as much as we can. And I will tell you, having talked to people in other states, we are very blessed to have as much great outdoors areas as we do here in Arizona. And we're taking advantage of that.
I agree. And I believe Ann Stewart was in queue for a question. Ann?
Yep, and Kiva put in the chat, if anybody would like to sign up for Tourism Tuesday, you can just send an email to Kiva at kcouchon@tourism.az.gov. And that email address is in the chat if you want to sign up for Tourism Tuesday. Any other questions? I love seeing people's faces here that I don't get to see very often. Hi, Julie. Do you have a question?
Yes, Debbie, thank you so much for spending the time with Terry and NACOG and the tourism division. We're so grateful that you
Always.
carve out time. You're so busy. And this is quite the influential group of people from Northern Arizona. And I think as you look at how broad this coalition of partners are on this call, it is a testimony to the work that you're doing and your team is providing to all of us throughout the state. But in Northern Arizona, it just means so much to be able to hear about the campaigns and to see the results. And I have to thank you for the rediscover. And I think part of what happens is in marketing in general, you have to keep telling people and reminding people who you are and what you have. And then after you have, tell them you did it, the old guerrilla marketing strategy. People sometimes forget that you can come to Arizona and virtually be outside almost all the time for recreational opportunities that many states might have, but not as glorious as us. And then if you spend the rest of your time outside having breakfast or in the pool, you're almost outside the entire time. So that campaign to me and the results that you have shared is monumental in the short amount of time since you've launched it. I wanted to thank you so much for that and just let you know how much it means to all of us from NACOG that you're sharing time with us. And Terry, thank you for inviting Debbie. It means a lot to all of us.
You guys know I will always be here. Anytime you need me, I'm happy to be here. It's exciting to be with, everybody. Again, Zoom is not the same. I know we all get zoomed out. We're hard, but I see Debbie McKinnon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Her background. Oh my gosh, that's just so gorgeous. I love seeing faces, and it's just, I miss you all so much. We miss working with you. And I think, Tony and Julie will certainly tell you, as well as others who know me well, we want to hear the good that we're doing. But if there's something we're doing that's not working or that's not right, please let us know. We need to hear both sides because it's the only way we can fix it and correct it and make sure we're giving you all, our partners, what you need. So please don't ever hesitate to have that, harder conversation too. We're happy to hear it.
And then I think we had a question from Ann Stewart. Ann, do you want to jump on, unmute?
Oh, I don't actually. I don't know if I pressed something on accident. Sorry.
Okay. And so I'll take advantage of the time. And Debbie, I'm hearing a lot about work sharing. And it's mainly from our corporate, probably hotels and restaurants. And I'll use my very favorite, and it's Hillstone. And so they're moving their teams around their properties from California into Arizona and vice versa, based on demand and kind of what their visitors are. Are you seeing, or is there a convened program? Is there that folks can learn more about sharing workers within the same industry or within the same companies? I just think it's a huge opportunity that may be missed.
Yeah, it's an interesting opportunity. We've heard about it specifically in the healthcare industry, and especially, when nurses and doctors are in such high demand right now. There's so many people who are traveling around this area and really trying to work in the healthcare field and help those states that need it at certain times. And that's been very helpful. Terry, just like you, have heard it just recently from a tourism perspective. Pros and cons, I think, obviously, if there's Arizona workers who are interested and willing to go work in other destinations when we're not as busy, I'm great with that. My main goal from the get-go, I've been in this industry for 25 plus years, and I started hearing about really dear friends who I've known forever, who have been in this industry for a long, long time, who are getting laid off, who are still laid off. And I think from my standpoint, that's been our number one goal, is to try to bring tourism back to make sure that we get people back to work. So I'm hopeful that, again, while it's not going to happen this week or this month, and maybe even the next few months, I'm hopeful that within the next 6 months, the majority of our workforce will be back to work, and we'll start that building process back to where we were. And while I think these kind of temporary programs to transfer people around is great for what we need right now, I'm hopeful long-term that we'll get all Arizonans who want to work back to work.
Agreed. Thank you.
Anybody else? Heidi Hansen has a comment. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Debbie, thank you so much for all your work, and I really appreciate how much you listen when we bring comments forward to you, especially about fire safety. You and I had a good conversation about that, and I'm actually excited about March when you come to or when you virtually come into Flagstaff to help present to our new council. So thank you. On the meetings website, I was just wondering, I haven't been able to look at it at a great deal, but I was curious. I guess what gets me a little frustrated is when everyone talks about the low wages that tourism jobs bring, but then we also know there's jobs that are very well paying. And so I'm wondering if maybe we could share that story a little bit as well, because with minimum wage the way it is, it's not the $3.35 when I was that age. And I just think that maybe we could talk a better story about not only the importance, but maybe tell the story of people that like yourself that have been able to work in this industry for 25 years successfully. So maybe that's an idea on somewhere. And then the last thing was the virtual worker. I think that, to be able to bring the virtual worker into Arizona, and basically we all know it's about the recruitment tool is about what they get to do when they're here, when they're not working. So maybe we could talk a little bit about that too. And that's the type of business attraction we can be working on, which would probably be more successful if we talk about how we're expanding bandwidth and things like that in our state. So again, I don't know all those plans, but those are some of the things that I would think would be great to put on that section of the website. And again, thanks for always listening. Really appreciate you, and look forward to talking to you some more this year.
Fantastic. Heidi, I love the idea of getting out some more about our stories, about the people stories that are so important. We've done that a little bit with the governor's office and some of our legislators who need to hear that story, that we're not a minimum wage, that there is a great opportunity to work up. Anybody who's willing to work hard can build their way up. So we'll work on doing a better job of that from a PR perspective. And I think Josh is on the call. And so he's, does a great job as heading up our PR effort. But the virtual workforce, so this great idea. And one of the things that we've done, and everyone should know, so we've worked with DHS again, with all these workers that they've brought in to work in the state. And then once they're done, or once they have some time off, we've shared a great deal of information that with DHS, who shared it with these workers who are coming in, for them to have a week off. A lot of our brands are giving them a special discounted rate to go get a staycation of sorts, not just for the people who are coming in to visit, but for some of those nurses and doctors who have really been working nonstop. So we're working with some special rates. We've made a special flyer for them with some special things to do around the state, that they can go and enjoy the rest of Arizona when they have a day off, or they get, a week off, as they not rarely, but sometimes do. So we appreciate that. But I think, again, we can go deeper than just healthcare on that. So great idea. Look at that. Servers at the restaurant in Flagstaff are at $25 an hour. That's incredible. We love hearing those stories. I know banquet workers, our industry really does a great job, and we don't get, great credit for it. We offer health care. I know tuition reimbursement's a huge thing that many of our businesses do. So we need to do a better job of sharing those stories. And this is really fantastic to hear. Kiva, where will GCUT be held? Oh, great question, Tony. GCUT will be at the JW Marriott Camelback Inn. That's where it was supposed to be last year, and they were gracious enough to roll over the contract for 2021. So it will be 2021. Any other questions for me? I know you guys have a drawing that everybody's anxious to get some great prizes on, but I'm going to stick around. Tony, if you guys want to do your drawing and anybody can think of any questions, I'm happy to wait around for a few.
Yeah. And I have a few more questions if I can take the time.
Go for it.
Gary again. And so one of the questions was, I love that you have a recovery plan. for the tourism industry. The NACOG Economic Development District is working on an economic recovery plan and resilience plan. So we plan to download yours and see what we can grab from there and maybe invite some of your folks to participate as well. But how can folks, what would be your maybe 3 to 5 tips for local planning for coming back, for industries coming back?
Yeah, I think from our standpoint, listening to our businesses, listening to our partners, to you all. We built a committee, a task force of sorts of 25 people in the industry around the state. And we really did it geographically. We looked at businesses. So we wanted not just necessarily DMOs, obviously, but we really wanted business leaders too, to talk about how they were being impacted, specific. So I think that probably is my number one thing, is listen to your stakeholders, because we're not in it day to day. But so we need to listen. And I think that was number one. We did hire a consultant and they were incredibly helpful in knowing what we needed to do. And then I think the other thing, Terry, that I would say that's really been helpful for us is we meet every month with our team, and then we meet quarterly with our partners. And I think having very specific metrics under each of those areas of focus has been really helpful for us. We have a rural committee, internal for our internal team, and we have an urban committee. And even though we meet together most of the time, we really want to look at both sides of how it's impacting the industry and who they're talking to and what they're learning. And with those very specific metrics that are going to impact our communities around the state. And I think, so talk to the stakeholders, work with whoever your consultant is or your key group, and then really have those very specific outline metrics. That's been tremendously helpful. And you're going to see in Tourism Tuesday today, we're outlining our first 6 months of metrics and attaching a kind of a one pager for y'all to see what we've done very specifically, and then what we have looking ahead.
Very good, thank you. And I'll take the opportunity for another question, and that's related to our national parks. So what, I know that you're connected without a doubt. So what does the national park future policy making look like for us? And maybe kind of where does the state of our national parks currently?
Yep. So I will tell you, it was interesting. Our numbers for national parks are actually down versus state parks, which are up. But that's because many national parks were closed for a period of time. So we're not quite measuring apples and oranges. State parks are up, which is great news. It means people are getting outside. I think we have some good things online for national parks. So this group that I mentioned to you that's going to talk about wildfires, this Western States group, it's called the Western States Tourism Policy Council. 15 Western states. The last 2 years, we focused solely, Terry, on national parks. And we worked with U.S. Travel Association. We got some money in the budget for a lot of the funding that was needed for some of the maintenance and repairs that our national parks have seen. So that was tremendously important. I think one of our first things from Western States Tourism Policy Council is we'll be sending a letter to the Biden administration, letting them know how important national parks are to our states, to our communities, and we'll continue to work with them. I think, especially for us here in Arizona, obviously we have one of the 7 most natural wonders of the world at the Grand Canyon, but that's not the only one by any means. We have some great parks here. We're excited about what we have, and we're excited to be able to get some of this work done that needs to be done at the national parks, and do a little bit even more promotion of them when they're comfortable and when we're comfortable from a community and state perspective.
Very good, because I agree, they're definitely very important to our overall economy and then our tourism success in the various areas. So I'll yield to any other questions if there are any out there.
And Kathleen's asking for a copy of metrics. And if you're asking about the metrics that we use, you're going to see them today in Tourism Tuesday, Kathleen. And so that's kind of very specific what we've done and what we've got looking forward. And I think Kiva can probably work with you and get a copy of like our spreadsheet that we've used as well. Just an email from Brian at Brian Carey. Anecdotally, visitation to Lake Powell and Glen Canyon was very heavy this summer, the ability to be outside. And that's what we've heard from so many people. Linda, thanking the governor's office for funds for the Safe Outside restaurant. That's another thing that we've been able to do is work with our partners at the Restaurant Association and the Hotel Association. We're helping do some promotion and give them some funding for some safe, not just certification programs, but safe kind of awareness marketing about what the restaurants and what the hotels in specific are doing to keep customers and employees safe. So we're really excited about that and grateful to for the governor's office support. Anything else? Let's see, did I miss anything up here? Josh, yeah, strategies, always reach out to Josh. Yep, Janet Dean, her son worked averaging $20 an hour with tips. Love these stories. Well, Michelle, thank you. Thanks. I am so grateful to be able to work in this industry. It's been a long time. I feel very blessed, and I'm always willing to come. Tony and Terry know that. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to speak in small groups, bigger groups, talk to you one-on-one. You know, I know there's people who reach out to me all the time. I am available. That's what we want, is to hear from you, what we can do better, what we're doing well. We're always open. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And again, please reach out to any of myself or any of our team members anytime. Thank you.
Well, thank you for considering us your customer, because we're absolutely yours. And we'll do a silent round of applause. Debbie, outstanding as always.
Thank you.
And then now our drawing. And so, so much information that we always need, and it's always better to have more time than less. So our drawings, as I mentioned, were from the city of Prescott with several gift cards for destination areas donated by the city of Prescott and Ann Stewart. And thank you so much. I'll draw that drawing now. And that goes to Scott Grams. Scott, are you online? You'll need to chat or raise your voice for us, please.
I'm sure on.
You're on, and we have your contact information, and we'll be sure to mail that out to you. Congratulations.
All right, and thanks a lot, Debbie, for all that you do. And I live in Phoenix, but I work in Flagstaff, and I can tell you that Lori Pappas, who's on, does a great job. Heidi Hansen, and we appreciate all that everybody's doing to get us through this little blip in our lives. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like Debbie, I don't like to say the new normal. So I've decided that we're all going to fall to a place of comfort. And so find your place of comfort, whatever that might be for you. And then I'm going to draw now for the 2-night stay and hotel stay. And it's Lisa West. Lessa or Lisa West. Please let us know that you're here, either by chat or speak up, unmute *6. So Lisa is online and she is the winner. We will send that prize out to you as well. I just can't thank you all enough on my behalf, and then I'll turn it back to Tony. On behalf of NACOG and our Economic Development District, our Economic Development Council, thank you for your attendance today. Again, our gratitude to Debbie Johnson. I look forward to seeing you in person in August. I think it's a great plan, and I'll plan to be there myself. And Tony, with that, if there's any closing remarks you'd like to make.
I just want to thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Kiva, for all your help in putting this together. I know that you were at Debbie's right hand virtually to put this together. Terry, Julia, thank you for your support. Thanks to the committee, who I acknowledged individually at the very beginning. And thanks to Janet and APS. This would not have been possible without you. So thank you all for taking time to join us. We allocated an hour and a half and we got out of here in an hour, but a very productive, worthwhile hour, I believe. So thank you all very much for joining us. And Debbie, thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye all.